Guys, Ms. Barai here again. This video here is really going to just focus on the graph, the table, and the spreadsheet that you might need to use. So again, this is calculator tips for beginners or a refresher if you kind of don't remember. So again, I'm going to access the graph via the Scratchpad. You can go through here and get to graph. If you don't want to go through there, if you're used to going to new document, if you happen to be in another class who uses the new document feature, feel free to go to new document and select graphs. It's the same thing. Or remember, if you do a new document, you never want to save it. So you always click no. The other options you have are down here on the bottom. You can click the graph feature through here. Graph and spreadsheet are both available through those features. So we're going to go ahead and start with the graph. And I guess just for, since the majority of people use the document, I'm going to go through the document. On this feature, remember that we have a fancy way of saying y equals. This is the function notation. This calculator was originally made for high school students, and now middle school students are using them. But this has a lot of cool features. But the one thing is that some of the things look a little fancier. So this is another way to say y equals. Now, I'm going to leave it in this case. So if you see something that says y equals on your STAR test or on a problem, you don't have to do anything else because y equals is the same thing as saying f of x. And this has a 1 in front of it because you can do more than one graph at a time, which I'm pretty sure you already know. So just in this case, I'm going to go ahead and graph 3x. And you can press the 3 and the x feature. The x key is on the bottom with the white letters. The white buttons on the bottom of the calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that one. Notice that when you graph, you get your line. You get your line. The first one is blue. If you graph another one of the main things that you might want to do, especially if you're graphing all of them to see which ones match the given equation, you can press tab. The tab feature up here to your left-hand side, right above control, will all give you another another equation bar, if you will. And this time you notice it says F2. F2 is that means that you're going to do another graph. So let's do 3x minus 3x minus 5. So if we do 3x minus 5, you can tell you get another graph. This one over here, this one has a y-intercept of -5. And you can tell that they're different ones because now it says F1 and F2, and it gave you your two equations that are here labeled. But you also see them in different colors. So that's a neat feature. And then let's go to tab one more time. And if you go to tab, then let's enter one more. And let's go -4x plus 2. So if we do that, you can see another line there. Notice that all the lines are different colors, and they do put the equation next to the line so that you're able to identify it. The next thing we want to practice is how do you take this and turn it into a table? Because on STARS, sometimes they give you a line, they give you an equation, and they want to see the table. What is the shortcut to the table? What's the first letter of the word table? T. So you're going to press Control T down here on the keyboard, and you'll access your table. Notice that at the top of your table, right now my table's kind of gray, but that's because I guess the colors are making it kind of wash out a little bit. But if you notice that we have the blue one matches the blue line from the beginning. That's the first one we typed in, 3x. The red one matches the second one we did, 3x minus 5. And the black one matches the last one we did, which is -4x plus 2. And you notice that at the bottom of the screen right here, you can see the arrows. So you can go forwards or backwards, whichever one you want to see. Notice that right here you can see, and actually this is letting me make it a little bit bigger, but right here you can see the x. That means these are all your x values. These are all your input values. That means every x value that you're going to multiply by is going to be located on your left-hand side. So this would be 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So that's what this one is doing. Now if we go to the red one is saying 3 times the x value minus 5. 3 times x is 1. I'm sorry, 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 minus 5 is -2. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. So it's just inputting the x value, plugging in, substituting in, whichever way you want to call it, to get your y values. And if you take a look at the black one, the black line, you have it all here. This is really helpful for when they give you an equation and they say, which of the following tables is a representation of the equation above. Type in your equation and then go to Control T, and you'll be able to match your table to your graph. Let's say that you want to go back and you want to clear it all. So you got to go to Control T to get rid of your table. Now you want to see your original one. And right here, there's just a lot of stuff going on. So you could do different things to clear it. I don't know if you can do Doc B here. Let's see if we can go down. No, this one doesn't give you that option. So this one, if you want to, my way to clear it, the easiest way to clear it, let me get out of here, would just be to go to the X. You don't want to save it. And again, go back to your graph down here on the bottom and access it there. It's the easiest way to do it. So let's just say I want to do, let's just say the equation on the star test said 1/2 x plus 3. And it said which of the following tables matches. If you want to do one equation at a time, you can do one equation at a time and then go to Control T, and then you can see the one equation at a time. Maybe this doesn't match and this is not what you want. So you can go back here and make sure you click on the graph, because you see how it's black around the edges? That means that the graph is active. If you click on the table and you see the black around there, that means that the table is active. So what you want to do is make sure that you know where it's active. And if for any reason you get stuck, it's easy just to click the X and start again. So if you go back to your graph, make sure you're on the graph, and you press Tab, you can go up and you can see the one you originally did. Maybe you want to correct it. Maybe you want to click on it so it doesn't show. And then once you do that, you can click on that one there, and then you click off of it. It doesn't show here, but it still shows over here. So that didn't do anything for you. So here you would have to unclick it. I'm not sure what that one would do, so I apologize for that. But you want to maybe delete the column or start all over. So you can do different things. But in this case, you want to just start all over. The easiest way, again, is just to close it. So let's say I did make that mistake. So let's say we want to do, maybe you have a problem that gives you a table and gives you 4 different equations. You can do each one separately, or you can do each one together. That's basically the graph. The one thing I did want to show on the graph is that you don't have to put y equals. Let's say they're asking for where the graphs intersect. So you could do 3x plus 4 and get that one. And then you could go to Tab and then type in negative 2x minus 2 and tap that one in. And maybe they want to know where those two graphs intersect. One of the coolest features that this particular problem has, or particular calculator has, is that you can go to menu and you can go to analyze. Analyze just lets you do a lot of different things that you want to investigate on the graph. So maybe you want to look for zeros. As you get into Algebra 1 next year, you'll learn zeros, minimums, and maximums. But the one thing you want to know in 8th grade is the intersection point. Where do those two lines cross? So if you click on intersection, you're going to get this little kind of like a dotted line. And what you want to do is you want to highlight it or hug it. You want to click on the left side of the X, X marks the spot. Don't put it directly on it. Put it a little bit to the left, click. Notice that on the bottom of the screen, it went from lower bound to now it says upper bound. And then you move your mouse over and you can click on it here. And now it's going to give you the upper bound, and it's going to give you a highlighted part. And right there, it's going to give you your intersection point. It's really cool, really easy to use. I like that. So that's something that you can use for that one there. I think that's really all you can do with the graphs. That might, not all you can do, but something that might help you for the test itself. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of there. The other thing that you have is down here where it says the spreadsheet.